Let's look at the second career, law. It's one space that is open to you from any subject combination that you can study in 11th and 12th. There are students from science, commerce, humanities, all who find themselves in a space like law. Now, the judiciary is one of the four pillars of a democracy like ours in India. Now, within law, technically, in most countries across the world, studying law is a course that one can do only after they finish their undergraduate degree. But in India, you have an option to study law in two ways. To study it as a 5-year integrated program right after your class 12, or to take in any graduate degree, whether it's science, commerce, humanities related courses, and then take up a LLB course. So you could either go for a 5-year integrated BA LLB program. Now, nowadays, you have BCom LLB, BBA LLB, and also BSc LLB integrated courses too. Or you could take in any course like I mentioned earlier, and then go in for a 3-year LLB course itself. Now, within law, you could be either a lawyer, you could be an educator, you could be a judge, you could be a solicitor. Let's look at the different kinds of options that are available in law, and also look at the different kinds of entrance exams, some of the courses, some of the colleges that are available on the career portal. Now, before we go to the career portal, let's talk about some of the rewards and challenges that one might face when they are going into a career like law. Now, first of all, law is a fantastic way to be able to help your citizens because there's a need for people who understand legal language. There's a need for people like lawyers in all stratas of society and in all parts of the country as well. So, whether you're coming from a rural space or you're coming from a metropolitan city, you would always need a lawyer. So, it's a professional degree course where one could find a job right after your degree is over. That's one of the rewards. You get to help your fellow citizens in many different ways. Now, let's look at some of the challenges. Now, as a lawyer, it would take you some number of years to be able to establish yourself. So, students often ask us whether what kind of salary would I earn right after finishing my course. While you might have a job, but to be able to establish yourself as a lawyer of repute, it might take you a couple of years. You might have to work under many senior lawyers before you establish yourself. And also, you have to have a very, very strong habit of reading. Now, a common misconception in law is that I have to be a great orator to be a fantastic lawyer, which is not entirely true. Most of the lawyers today that you see who represent people in court have done it through years and years of experience. Now that comes with time. But what can we do as students, or what can we encourage students to do from this age onwards so that it prepares them better to become more efficient lawyers? Let's inculcate the habit of reading. Now let's move on to the career portal to understand this a little more.
Looking at the next career, we'll directly jump into lawyer. Now, the first thing to keep in mind is there are different ways to become a lawyer. A student can pursue law after class 12 as an integrated BA LLB, BCom LLB, BSc LLB, or a BB LLB program. However, a student completing graduation can also apply for an LLB program, which is of 3 years. So, the integrated 5-year program will consist of a bachelor's degree or an undergraduate course and LLB together with it. A student can pursue this after any scheme of studies in 11th and 12th, and then post that pursue LLM after they complete the LLB course. So to repeat, students can pursue this as an integrated 5-year program or a 3-year LLB program after any graduate degree. While the entry-level pay scales vary differently for students who pass out from different colleges, we have seen the National Law Universities tend to have some of the best placements across all law colleges. So the specialization areas are mentioned here. However, it is not something that the student can choose right at the graduate level. It is only at the LLM level that one can choose a specialization in law. However, there are certain colleges that have integrated specialization options itself, like we mentioned earlier. A BCom, PSc, or BBA LLB do direct a student towards particular scheme of studies that go in with law. Like in case of BCom, it's accountancy, finance, and law. In case of BSc, there are research-based courses, and that could take into the legal aspects of intellectual property rights or patents. And looking at BBA, it's management and law that is combined together in that course. And we have certain colleges in the country also that specialize in law, in energy law, and other such options. However, the most common option would be a BA LLB, which is the most common course found at the national law universities across India. If you want to find out the types of colleges So most colleges in India would either allow a student to pursue it through an entrance exam like CLAT or Common Law Admission Test. You may look at the law school admission test as well. However, that is a test that is considered by fewer number of private colleges. All national law universities would take the common law admission test, which is also known as CLAT, except for NLU Delhi. NLU Delhi would be a course that is eligible through IELTS, which is All India Law Entrance Test. Then that is again only for NLU Delhi. Apart from that, there are some private colleges that have their own entrance exams. Government Law College Bombay has its own entrance exam and does not consider CLAT as of right now. So if you click on the entrance exam, you will find the various entrance tests that are mentioned here. Some of them are for private colleges. So like I mentioned, you have IELTS in the states for LLM and PhD, but there is also an IELTS for bachelor's or BA LLB programs as well. So when you click on the entrance exam, when you see CLAT Law UG, you would see the eligibility criteria, where there is no upper age limit for the UG program in CLAT 2022. The minimum marks required, and students can come in from any scheme of studies. What is the exam pattern looking like? What is the breakup of those marks? All of this information is available on the portal. We suggest students read through this carefully, while career guides also need to have an understanding of what these entrance exams could look like. The application fees, the application procedure, the participating colleges list that would consider this entrance exam, as you can see, all 21 NLUs are mentioned here. The important dates, the dates for the application deadline, when the application opened this year, the date of the examination and the press release that happened, all of these dates are mentioned here on the portal itself. Moving on from the entrance exams, we are going to look at the job opportunities and the kind of work environment that a student needs to prepare for. While courts work during specific times, lawyers typically don't have specific time limits to their work. It could depend on the caseload, and sometimes timings are long and irregular. The key roles and responsibilities, you would notice there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of documentation, reading, research required in the job of a lawyer, which is why it is important to tell students who are aspiring to become lawyers that reading is one of the most important skill sets that one needs to have, and being able to comprehend written information really fast is something that is desirable in lawyers. Now, the student needs to be enterprising and investigative with abstract reasoning, good articulation skills, good language skills that typically come from a good reading habit. Oral expression, mental stamina, oral comprehension, problem sensitivity are all things that students need to work on in case they're looking to pursue a career in law. The work activities are also mentioned here. So students who are looking to work in the space of law may either join corporates as an in-house legal consultant, could join law firms where they would be taking on active cases with other senior lawyers, or could join chambers for a senior practicing lawyer who is in litigation. These are typically the three areas that lawyers can work. However, there have been organizations that do legal process outsourcing or LPOs as well. The reason to choose one of the three options would depend solely on the type of work that the student is most interested in. And all of those activities are mentioned here in detail as well.
Now, in hotel management, as a career, is one of the few spaces that you would see people working in all sorts of departments. Now, let me take you through a little journey. Now, I'm sure that most of us as career guides, we might have visited other places, we might have stayed at hotels. Now, right from the point that you enter a hotel, till the point that you meet a receptionist, to the point where you check into the room itself, you would find people from the front office department talking to you, explaining to you the room rates, welcoming you when you come in, ensuring that you are assigned to the right room, ensuring that your bills are sent to you on time, ensuring that whenever there is an event happening in the hotel itself, the organization of it, all of these areas are handled by the front office department. Now, that's one department. Now, once you're inside the room, what do you expect in a room? You expect a clean room. You expect that the bed sheets that you would be seeing in the room are freshly washed. The washroom is clean. And also the hotel that you're in is clean as well, with the decor being acceptable or aesthetically pleasing. So that's the responsibility of the housekeeping department. Moving on, if you've been to a restaurant, you would notice that there is someone who comes to serve you, who asks you the types of food that you would like. That's the waiter. So that's usually the food and beverage service department. The department that ensures that the food that is made arrives to the right guest, it's plated in the right way, and the kind of beverages that you would order as well. That is also part of the food and beverage service department. And finally, the food production department. The chefs who are responsible to make all your lovely food, who come from various cuisines. So these are the four major departments in the hotel industry, which is front office, housekeeping, food production, and food and beverage service. Now, to be able to get into a space like hotel management, you could come in as a student from any subject combination. You usually would have a couple of entrance exams that a student might have to take. And of course, let's talk about the few rewards and challenges in this space. Few of the rewards. Most of the hoteliers around the world get to travel in various exotic places. Wherever there are hotels, there are tourists. And wherever there are tourists, there is a need for a hotelier. A student would get exposed to different types of cultures, different types of food, and of course, get the chance to serve different types of people as well. However, few of the challenges. While this is a professional course as well, where you will get a job right after your course is done, in most cases, many hotel management institutes in India claim to have a placement system where students get placed in hotels even before the degrees are over. Some of the challenges. Chefs work very long hours. Some of the chefs, to be able to establish themselves, they take many, many years, be in a position of power, of authority, and being in a place where you could design and create things of your own or recipes of your own. Usually in the hotel industry, at least in India, we have very long working hours. You are subject to customer service, where we believe in the mantra, the customer is always right. So you're always pressured to ensure that the quality of service that you provide, come what may, is always at a high standard. So these are few of the pressures on individuals pursuing a hotel management course and looking at it as a long-term career. However, in most parts of the world, wherever there is a need for tourism, there's a need for a hotel, and thereby there's a need for hoteliers as well. Additionally, hotel management students in India are in demand in all parts of the world. We've seen chefs who study here are in demand in hotels across the world, in cruise liners across the world as well. So it's one of the few careers where you could find yourself studying in India, but you could be able to establish your career in any part of the world out there. So let's move on to the career portal to understand this a little better.
Welcome back to the portal. We were discussing hotel management, and while discussing hotel management, it is important to remember that students from any stream, from any scope of subjects could pursue this career. So students from science, commerce, humanities, and a crossover combination of subjects or an interdisciplinary combination of subjects could pursue hotel management, given that the entrance exams, which are NCHMCT for most of the institutes of hotel management in India, the NCHMCT stands for the National Council for Hotel Management and Catering Technology. It is hyphenated by JEE, which is a joint entrance examination, and it is conducted by the National Testing Agency, or the NTA. Now, professionals in this area could pursue a BBA or a BSc or a BHM degree, in which they will get exposure to all the four major departments, which is front office, food and beverage services, housekeeping, and under food and beverage services, you will find both food production and food F&B service. Now, F&B service would be typically bartenders, busboys, waiters, and for food production, you would find bakers, chefs falling under the category. Now, typically for front office, F&B service, housekeeping, high levels of social skills and enterprising skills are required. For food production, one needs to be more of a multitasker. Now, the educational requirements are fairly lower than most other careers, particularly because the industry prefers more of experience and learning through work exposure rather than qualifications or degrees. So most of the celebrity chefs that we know through the media are typically individuals who spend more time in the kitchen learning rather than degrees, masters qualifications or diploma certificates. So this is one such industry where experience matters more than qualifications. And this could be one option that could be recommended to students who are looking for employment, who are looking for early employment. Now, the typical work environment that hospitality professionals should be prepared for are that these working environments typically expect them to work long hours. They are expected to work on days where there is higher expected footfall, and that higher footfall happens typically on holidays, on days where everyone else is relaxing. So, hospitality professionals work on those days the most when other professions are typically on leave. Now, the job roles and responsibilities typically help students understand what to prepare for and what to expect from the profession. The competencies required range from enterprising, conventional, realistic, social. Enterprising means someone who's a persuader. Conventional would mean someone who is good at following a certain set pattern of rules and working in those systems. Realistic is someone who typically works working with their hands. So a lot of the professions or specializations in the hospitality sector requires one to be physically fit and be able to move around for fairly long periods of time. Very few job roles would even have a chair or a seat or a specific desk assigned. Of course, with the exception of receptionists or people who work in the front office department, most other departments are where people tend to stand and work for long periods of time. And of course, being social, someone who is comfortable working in a social setup where you will be dealing with client complaints, you will be trying and de-escalating situations from customers, or as they call them, guests. And the work activities also help one prepare for what type of responsibilities would a student or an individual have once they join the industry as a fresher.